Hey, Tracy and Rob. We'll just give it 1 minute before we get started here for our gentle yoga practice this evening. So taking whatever you need for your practice this evening, your mat, if you'd like a pillow or a blanket or a bolster, feel free to have that handy. Whatever it is that you need to support yourself in your practice this evening. Allowing yourself now to make your way to your mat, setting up to start your yoga practice. If you're already there, you can lengthen your legs and let your hands comfortably beside your body. Turning the palms up towards the ceiling, spread the fingers with lots of intention. And then soften the fingers, allow your hands to relax. Maybe give the jaw a bit of a wiggle, softening through the mouth and allowing your weight to fall heavy into the back of your head. If it feels right, closing your eyes or settling your gaze to a soft point on your ceiling. Using every exhale to allow your body to soften more and more into the mat beneath you. Just allowing your breath here to move in whatever form it moves. And just noticing what that looks like for you. Where you feel breath in your physical body. You know, that might look different every time we come to the mat. So just taking a moment to observe what's going on, where you feel breath, where your body feels heavy. And then see if you can sink awareness into that space even more so. Releasing even further. With your body in stillness, your breath moving in and out at its own cadence or rhythm. Whenever it feels right, beginning to mold that breath now. Breath coming in and out of the nose. If at any point that feels uncomfortable, feel free to allow the exhale to come out of the mouth. Just for the time being, exploring what breath feels like as you invite it in and out of the nose. Maybe assigning a number to your breath might help to count in the inhale, perhaps for a count of 4. Pausing at the top of your breath. And then exhaling, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Rolling right into that inhale. Fill the mid-belly, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause at the top of the breath. And then exhale, belly falls soft. 4, 3, 2, and 1. And continuing here with the cycle of breath. Every inhale, for whatever length that looks like in your body, fills the belly from the low belly space all the way up to the collarbones. And every exhale, whatever that number looks like for you, finds depth or room for softness, right? Chest relaxes, belly draws in. And seeing this evening, if with every inhale, if we can create or find even more space, just to sit more space, it doesn't have to be much. but just finding that room for growth. And then inviting that also on the exhale. Can you squeeze out just a little bit more breath at the bottom of your exhale? And as we flow through inhale and exhale, noticing if your mind is settled or noticing if it's wanting to escape to something else. And I'll invite you to use that breath as the anchor, to use it to draw you back, to use the physical sensations of the breath within your body to bring you back. Taking the biggest inhale you've taken all day. Fill the entire midsection. And then as you exhale, really release. Let go any need to control, any need to hold on, both to the breath and to our bodies. Just let it go. Staying here for a few more rounds of breath in and out in our opening meditation. Working with hips opening this evening. So meeting your body where it's at and taking what you need from our practice. If it doesn't feel great, feel free not to do it. If it feels so great you don't want to release the pose, feel free to hang out there. It's your practice. So before moving or inviting any physical movement to our body, just take note of the hip space. Shift awareness to that area, noticing any spot or location that feels, let's just say that feels. Does it feel heavy or light? Maybe there's already space there. Maybe it feels tight. And then taking awareness now to your fingers and to your toes. And just feeling your body in your space. Noticing the outermost edges. Perhaps the air feels slightly cool on the tops of your toes. Very gradually, whenever it feels right, you can draw movement to your hands and your feet in whatever form comes. Allow these movements to come fairly organically. Try not to think about it too much, but equally allowing them to come softly. There's no rush in our gentle practice. We take the time we need. Eventually allowing these soft, subtle movements to draw inwards towards the core. So maybe your feet are rocking side to side so much that the upper thighs get involved, feeling the release and lift of your sitting bones. Maybe your elbows bend or you begin to wiggle through the shoulders. Maybe your head is rocking side to side. So wherever you're at, staying there for a few more rounds of breath, just allowing this movement to come softly. Whenever your next inhale comes, I'll invite you to bring your arms overhead. Take that good morning stretch as you point the toes. And feel the release of your low back space away from your mat. And then as you exhale, soften the elbows, allow the feet to fall wide as you release to your mat. And taking that a few times in rhythm with your breath. The inhale finds the extension out of your fingertips. Your toes point, your low back releases. The exhale softens the elbows, releases the ankles as you soften down. We'll take that one more time in time with the breath. Inhaling, find the biggest stretch you can take. Your belly is lifted up towards the ceiling, shoulders are heavy. And then as you exhale, softening down to the mat, your elbows bend fully, your arms wrap around as your knees draw in towards the upper body. Your hands can come wherever they need to be right now to help your lower body feel supported. So maybe that's the back of the thighs, perhaps onto the shins. And then squeeze the inner thighs in towards one another. And just holding here, taking note of the low spine. Thinking about tucking, or extending rather, so the low spine is pointed towards the bottom of your mat. So that full support of your spinal column on your mat right now. While the knees are drawn in, we're going to begin to point and flex the feet. Continuing to be soft through the upper body, shoulders nice and relaxed. Take some circles with the ankle joints. The big toe side of your feet are touching, thighs continue to press in towards one another. And take those circles in the opposite direction. Allowing your feet now to be soft, knees are still drawn in, thighs are pressing in towards one another. Take the knees into circles. Your hands again being wherever they need to be to support the lower body. Your shoulders here remain connected equally to the mat, and your jaw is nice and soft. And then taking those knee circles in the opposite direction. Noticing the rise and the fall of the spine as it releases from the mat and then reconnects. Maybe it feels nice in through the glutes, a little bit of a massage as we roll side to side. The next time you come through your neutral position, pausing there, and then exhaling, taking the soles of our feet to the mat. Finding a comfortable placement for the arms, shoulder height or lower, palms up towards the ceiling. So the T-arms, if you prefer, you can bend the elbows, stack the wrist above the elbows into cactus arms. Fill the belly space with a full inhale. And as you exhale, gently take your knees over to the right. Inhaling through center and exhaling to the left. So going back to your opening meditation here, noting the length of the inhale. That should be how long it takes for our knees to come up through center. And then riding the exhale right over to the other side. So there's no rush here. We're letting the breath guide our movement. Forcing ourselves here to slow down. And again, as we rock here side to side, noticing the connection of the glutes and then the release as we draw up. Can you draw the low belly space in towards the spine, a little lift from the pelvic floor? Noticing how when the activity comes in through the core, how that maybe changes the range of the depth of the twist. Now wherever your knees release to next, simply allow them to settle. You can adjust the distance between your feet to find a place of comfort as your knees fall heavy towards the floor. Feeling wherever you feel this in your body and taking breath and awareness into that space. Noticing if you're clenching or holding on or grasping. If so, can you use imagery and your breath to really release into that space? Continuing to be present with that full breath. Take your next inhale to guide everything back up through center, nice and slow. And the exhale to take it over to the opposite side. Your knees slowly releasing. Your gaze either neutral towards the ceiling or in the opposite direction of your knees. And taking notice on this side. What are you holding on to? Where can you further release? Noticing how that creeps up as physical sensation. Using the breath to soften downwards. Taking one more round of breath here in your reclined twist. And then inhaling, knees come up through center. Gaze comes neutral if it's not already there. And then exhaling, allow the soles of your feet to come to touch. Your knees to fall wide as you come into your reclined cobbler's pose. Your hands can stay right where they are. If you prefer, you can take them in closer to the body, or you can even take your hands one on top of another onto the core. Wherever you can find that most connection with the breath. And noticing here as we hold once again where you feel this pose within your body. And then after you identify that, beginning to draw and direct breath into that space. Every exhale finds a little more space for depth. Noticing what we're holding onto in the body and seeing if that exhale can really let it go to find more space. Giving the jaw a bit of a wiggle here, allowing the lips to gently part. Relaxing fully through your jaw. Noticing the weight of gravity on the inside of the thighs as the knees fall closer to the earth. Taking one more round of breath here as we hold reclined cobbler's pose. And using your next inhale to guide the knees in towards one another. Take your time there. The soles of your feet once again come to meet the mat. About hip distance apart or so. And then from there, walking your heels comfortably close to your sitting bones. Your hands can wrap around and come and rest on the hip joints. Maybe your thumb wraps behind. And just for a moment there, lift so that the low spine once again can connect with the mat fully. So the tailbone is reaching towards your heels. When you inhale, we're going to tilt the pelvis. So belly fills, we're tilting the pelvis so that that low back space is lifting away from the mat. Kind of like we do in our cow pose. And then on the exhale, we're going to lift or zip up from the low belly space, draw it inwards, navel comes in, and use that low belly strength to press the low spine into the mat. Find that connection once again. So inhale, your pelvis tilts, low back releases. Weight falls heavy into your shoulders. Exhale, we zip up through the front, engage the belly space, and release so that the low spine comes towards or to meet the mat. And then staying here again, following the rhythm of your breath. Pelvis tilts, and pelvis reconnects. We'll just take a few more rounds here, being mindful of the low back, using the breath to control the rate in which we're moving, all while breathing nice and full. The next time your low spine comes to meet the mat, pause there. Draw the shoulders away from the ears, maybe even tuck them inwards towards the spine. And just take note of the right foot on your mat. Really feel it pressing down into the floor beneath you. On your inhale, we're going to guide the right knee in towards the chest. Take your hands behind to the right thigh. And then on your exhale, we're going to lengthen the right leg up towards the ceiling, either with that long extended leg or a slight bend in the knee. Whatever variation you choose, your pelvis is neutral on your mat. And then from there, beginning to point and flex the foot, maybe making some circles through the ankle joint in either direction. On the inhale, we're going to press out through the right heel. Press it all the way up as if you're getting a footprint on the ceiling. And then on the exhale, we're going to tuck the chin and walk the hands up the leg a little bit so the upper shoulders release away from your mat. You'll feel the length in through the back of that right leg. Core is active, supporting the body as we lift through the chest. Beautiful. Guiding the toes maybe towards the top of the mat to intensify the stretch. And then exhale, walking the hands back down the leg, upper body releases. From there, let's lengthen that left leg all the way down to the mat. Right leg still pressing up towards the ceiling. Let's take the right hand to the outside of the right thigh. Open up that left arm, shoulder height or lower, palm up towards the ceiling. And then from there, we're going to take the right foot across the body, slightly over to the left, until we begin to feel it in the outer glute. So it doesn't have to be a very large movement. We're just going to find that twist until we begin to light up a little bit in through the glutes. So holding there, finding where you need to be. If you'd like, you can offer this left hand as well for some support on through the leg. Thinking about lining the inside of that right foot up with the outer edge or that long edge of your mat. So a slight internal rotation. Soften that right knee. On an inhale, lift the leg all the way up once again to the ceiling. And then on your exhale, we're going to open it up. Left shoulder stays grounded, left foot stays, or leg rather, stays grounded. And that right hand is there to support the right leg as we open up. So breathing here in through the inner right thigh. This time thinking about lining up the pinky side of your foot with the floor beneath you. So a slight external rotation. As you hold here, noticing if there's space for depth. And if so, you can choose if you'd like to explore that or not. Being kind, of course, to our bodies, finding that edge. And breathing into it. Soften the right knee. Engage the core, and then on your inhale, begin to guide the leg up to the ceiling. On your exhale, release the right leg mindfully down to meet the left. And just take note, once it's there, of the difference left to right. Maybe give the heels or ankles rather a bit of a wiggle to release. And then on your next inhale, float the knees in towards your body. Hug them nice and close. And give them a little rock side to side. Eventually, releasing the soles of your feet once again to come and meet your mat, hip distance apart. So setting up here to move to the opposite side. So walking the heels close to the body. Just feeling your left foot on your mat. Priming the body here for movement. Whenever you're ready, inhaling, taking that left knee now in towards the body, hands behind the thighs. Elbows are nice and soft. On the exhale, lengthen that left leg up towards the ceiling. Slight bend to the knee if that feels better, or that full extension of the leg. Beginning to point and flex the foot. Maybe taking some circles through the ankle joint. Noticing here the pelvis nice and square, your low back supported on the mat. On the inhale, flex the foot, extend through that left heel. And then exhale, engage the core, lift the forehead towards the legs as you walk your hands up slightly. The toes are guided towards the top of the mat as we extend and lengthen through the back of the left leg. Beautiful. Exhale, releasing the upper body back down to the mat. Left hand comes to the outside of the left thigh. Right arm opens up shoulder height, and right leg extends to the bottom of the mat. Take an inhale here. And as you exhale, crossing this left leg over to the right, ever so slightly, find that space where you feel the stretch through the outside of that left leg, right into the glute. Slight internal rotation of the femur bone so that the big toe side of your foot lines up with the long edge of your mat. So holding and breathing. Always thinking about guiding the toes up towards the head. Noticing that space in the low belly as the leg crosses over. Preparing to release on an inhale, soften the knee. Draw the leg up through center. And then as you exhale, taking that left hand to the outside of the thigh for support, allow the leg to open wide. Just noting that the entire right side of your body stays connected with the mat. Nice and neutral spine here. Allowing that left thigh to fall heavy, left hip to release. Slight activity in through the right side of your body to help stabilize. Engage the core, use the strength of your midsection, and on an inhale, begin to guide the leg up through center. And then as you exhale, lots of control, release that leg down to meet the right. And just give the ankles a little bit of a wiggle once it's there. Maybe point and flex the feet, take circles through the ankle joint. Let it all go. Taking your next inhale, invite the knees once again to come in towards the body, hands behind the thighs. And this time, let's allow the legs to fall comfortably wide. So the knees both fall to the outside or long edges of your mat as you hold here. Your heels are nice and heavy down towards the sitting bones. It might feel nice to offer a bit of a rock here, side to side. Eventually, preparing to draw the knees once again in line or over top of the hips. And then exhaling soles of your feet to meet the mat, hip distance apart. Lots of control here, pressing the feet equally left to right into the mat. Your low back slightly lifted away from the floor. Inhale, guide that right knee in towards your chest, hands come behind the thigh. And then as you exhale, cross the ankle on top of the left thigh as we move into reclined pigeon. Allowing that right knee to fall heavy towards the bottom of your mat. Right toes are drawn up. So the option of staying right here. If you'd like to explore a different variation of this pose, you can spread that right hand through that space we've created, lift the left knee in towards the body, and both your hands come onto the back of the left thigh, maybe even onto the back of onto the front of the shin. Whatever variation you choose this evening, I'll ask that the upper body is completely relaxed and supported on your mat. Just allowing ourselves here to really take focus in through the hip region and through the glutes and through the pelvis. So noticing where it is in your body that you're feeling this evening. And wherever it is that you've identified, taking your breath into that space. So every exhale, you're trying to release. Noticing the muscular tension or muscular effort. And as best as you can, using that exhale to let it go. And then using the next exhale to let it go, and so on and so forth. Because there always seems to be a little bit more space, a little bit more room to really release. Stay here for another cycle of breath. In and out. Fill the mid-belly with the next inhale. And as you exhale, mindfully release that left foot down to the mat if it was lifted. And then from there, keep that right leg right where it is. Extend the left leg to the bottom of the mat. Allow the right knee to fall heavy and your hands to come to rest on the belly space. Just for a moment here, allowing the front of that right hip to enjoy this nice stretch. And then on your next exhale, lengthening the right leg. And then inhaling knees in towards the chest. And then once they're there, it might feel nice to find a gentle rock side to side to reset the spine. Eventually coming back with our feet to meet the mat, hip distance apart. We'll set up for the other side. Same options as the right. So inhaling, left knee now draws in, hands behind the thigh. Foot crosses over onto the right thigh, knee falls wide. So deciding if this is enough, or if you want to try different variations, right knee can draw in. Be mindful of that right foot, allowing it to fall nice and soft. So not very much activity in that right foot. Left toes are drawing up towards the left shin. Elbows are nice and soft beside the body, upper body relaxed. And noticing on this side where it is that you feel your reclined pigeon. Taking awareness and breath into that space. Noticing how the breath flows in and out. Using that to anchor our mind. While mindfully prepare to release this side on your next exhale. If that right foot is lifted, slowly allowing it to connect with the mat. And then extending the right leg all the way down to the bottom of the mat. And a little stretch in through the front side of that left hip. And when you're ready, using that next exhale to release the left leg to meet the right. Inhaling, bring the arms overhead, point the toes, take that full body stretch. Low spine releases generously away from your mat. And then inhale, wrap the knees in towards your chest and rock onto your favorite side. Use the top hand to press yourself into the floor to come all the way up to your seated or easy seat. Sitting up nice and tall once you're there, mirroring the belly button in towards the spine, hips towards the lower rib cage, shoulders are soft. Inhale, let's bring the arms overhead, spread the fingers, and then exhale, soften down through heart center. Inhaling, taking that big community breath as we draw our arms overhead. Elbows are soft as we exhale down through midline. And taking this next one into our seated side stretch, so arms float overhead on the inhale. On your exhale, let's take the right hand gently to the mat and extend out through the left fingertips. Find that nice side body stretch. So your left sitting bone is generously pressing into the mat as you lift out of the hip. Inhale, engage the side body as you lift the right fingers away from the floor. And then exhale right over to the opposite side. Lifting out of that right hip, shoulders are drawing back as your heart is lifted. Beautiful. Inhale, engage that right side body. Bring the arms all the way up, turn your palms forward. Tuck the chin slightly as you extend the fingertips out in front of you. Allow your forehead to fall heavy. Your low belly is drawing in towards the spine as you walk the hands a little bit further from your body. Your elbows can be soft if that feels better. Your arms can be fully extended. But we're going to hold for a round of breath. Inhale through the nose. And exhale through the nose. Let's feel all 10 of our fingers here wherever they are. And then think of shifting weight into the hands. When you're ready, we're going to soften the elbows. See if we can rock our weight forward and make our way into tabletop pose. Doesn't always look so graceful, but sometimes it's there. Sometimes it's there. So let's try for that. We'll make our way into tabletop pose, wrist underneath, shoulders, knees under hips. And in your own time, you can begin to move through cat and cow. So just like we did when we were in a reclined position, those pelvis tilts, right? So the cow, we find that softness in the belly. Our cat, we really draw everything in, tailbone tucks down and under. So flowing here with a few variations, or a few rounds rather, of cat and cow, moving our spine from top to bottom. We'll take a few more rounds here, and then we'll all come to meet in our tabletop pose. So our neutral spine, crown of the head extends towards the top of the mat. Hold here in tabletop for a round of breath. In and out. The next inhale, we're going to begin to press our weight back into our sitting bones, rounding through the lower back. Shift weight forward, come into a modified cat. So taking circles here through the lower spine, guided by the sitting bones. Really trying not to think too much about it, to be honest. Just beginning to move in whatever form feels right as we make circles through the lower body. So if it feels nice to add a bit of a cat arch into that, feel free to explore that. If you prefer to just move forward and back with your hips, that works too. Let your hands, your knees, and the tops of your feet stay wherever they're planted on the mat as we move. The next time you come up through center, we'll take this in the opposite direction. Feeling the side body begin to activate. Noticing anywhere in our bodies that maybe feels a little sticky. And if so, sending some love into that area. Coming back through neutral spine the next time you come up. Engaging from the pelvic floor, low belly draws in, shoulders draw back, crown of your head extends. Take an inhale. When you exhale, take your gaze over your left shoulder and look for that left hip. Inhale, come center. Exhale, take a look over that right shoulder, look for the right hip. So thinking of that C in our side body as we move side to side. Bringing in some flexion and extension through the side body. Being gentle here, it doesn't have to be a large movement. We'll take one more on each side. And then we'll come back and meet in tabletop pose. And this time from our tabletop pose, tucking the toes, walking the hands in towards the knees, shifting your weight into your heels, and coming all the way up into our forward fold. So feet are about hip distance apart. Knees are nice and soft. Your belly is guiding towards your thighs. Your head is heavy. From there, let's press through the feet. Inhale, lengthen the legs. Take your hands to either the front of the shins or the front of your thighs. Extend out through the crown of your head as if your shoulders are drawing back towards your sitting bones. Your belly is active, so you have a nice 90-degree angle here with our body. Exhale, soften the knees, lead with the chest, and release the fingertips back down to the floor. Allow your head to fall heavy. Inhale, press through the feet. Nice long legs, hands to shins or to thighs, elbows beside the body. Find that extension once again out of the crown of your head. And then exhale. Nice long spine, lead with the heart, soften the knees. Your fingers come to meet the mat. And this time, once they're there, let's take hold of either opposite elbows, maybe opposite shoulders. Allow the upper body to completely release over the legs. So a ragdoll forward fold. And this time here, playing with shifting weight forward and back, side to side. Maybe you bend the knees left to right. Just seeing whatever movement will bring complete release of the upper body over the lower body. Use your next inhale to release the fingertips down to the mat if they're not already there. And then inhale slower than you feel you ought to. Begin to come all the way up, one vertebrae at a time, until you're in a standing position. Nice stacked spine. And once you're there, let's inhale the arms overhead, allow the palms to touch, and then exhale. Take them down to heart center. And then from there, and taking your hands comfortably beside your body and turning your palms forward. Good. So let's find some energy in through the fingertips. Spread them nice and wide. Soften the knees. Think of tucking the tailbone under so that the low belly is lifting up. Good. Nice and soft here in through the lower body. We'll just take a few flows here following our breath. So inhale, scoop the arms up. Allow the fingers to touch. And then exhale. Hands come through center. Your heart follows. Your knees are slightly bent or fully bent to get your fingertips towards the floor. Allow the upper body to round once you're there. And then inhale, come all the way up. Tailbone tucks under, crown of the head extends, arms sweep up. We'll just do that 2 more times following your own breath. So when you exhale, you find your way into a gentle forward fold. Back of the legs extended, head heavy. And then we inhale, sweeping up, tailbone tucks, heart is lifted, arms overhead. Fingers to touch. Exhaling into your fold. The next time you're in your forward fold, pausing there. Bend your knees so deeply that your fingers can come to meet the mat. And then with some support from the fingers, let's heel toe or toe heel. The feet slightly wider than our hips, out towards the long edge of the mat. And then from there, just gently take hold of opposite elbows. Allow the upper body once again to come heavy over the lower body. It might feel nice here to bend one knee and then the other. Just noticing how that creates space through the back side of our body and in through the pelvis. Beautiful. Taking another round of breath here in a ragdoll forward fold. Coming back through center if you found movement. And then exhaling, fingers to the mat, bend the knees, and in whatever form feels right, make your way back down into your tabletop pose. So it doesn't have to look pretty, just get there however you need to. And then from our tabletop pose, find some variation of cat and cow there. Maybe finding those circles through the hips. Whenever it feels right, let's take the big toes together and the knees wide and press back into your child's pose. You can have the arms fully extended. You can have softness in through the elbows. See if you can find a space where your forehead can come and connect with your mat. Beautiful. Noticing your breath here in child's pose as we hold. back to your body and back to the space if your mind has wandered. From here, the option of allowing the hands to come together, much like we do as we come through heart center. And then guiding the fingertips up towards the ceiling to release through the back of the arms. It might even feel nice to take the fingertips as if they're reaching towards your tailbone. So be gentle in whatever variation you take. Breathe into how that shifts the awareness of your physical body. If you've guided the fingers towards the back of the room or the ceiling, releasing the hands back down to the mat, finding whatever your traditional child's pose looks like. On your inhale, press through the fingers, lift the gaze slightly, and then on your exhale, begin to walk your hands over to the right. Find that extension through the left side body. Continue to lift out of the right side as well. Maybe your gaze stays lifted. If it feels okay and there's no pressure in the back of the neck, you can allow the forehead to fall heavy. So you be your own guide here as to how far you'd like to go, how deep you'd like to feel this. Whenever you exhale or inhale next, pressing through the fingers, gently lifting the gaze, walking everything back through center. And then exhaling gently over to the opposite side. Finding that extension or lift out of the right side body now. Your hips still falling towards the heels, nice and heavy through the low back space. Breathing, gaze is lifted or gaze is fallen. Being mindful of the back of the neck, but noticing how we still here have the length through the entire spine. Nothing is collapsing here. When you're ready to inhale next, pressing through the fingers, gentle lift of the gaze, walking back through center, traditional child's pose. Beautiful. And then from our traditional child's pose, walking your hands in towards the body, lifting through the heart. Once your spine is stacked, you can take the knees in towards one another. Come on to your favorite side, and then from there, however you need to, just make your way all the way down onto your back, please. And then once you're there, your knees can come in. The shoulders can soften down. So take a moment to find a place of comfort through the upper back, knees drawn in. Hugging the knees nice and tight. Use your next exhale to gently tuck the chin and lift your forehead in towards the legs. See about softening the shoulders even more so here as you curl in nice and tight. And then from there, gentle rock through the low back space. Beautiful. Coming back through center, pausing as you exhale, releasing the upper body back down to the mat. Soften the shoulders. Soles of the feet come to meet the long edges of your mat, so nice and wide. Your hands comfortable beside the body, palms up towards the ceiling. And then inviting a deep inhale to fill the entire midsection. And then exhale, knees over to the right, allowing them to settle. For some of us, they may come all the way down. For others, they may be hovering. Both are perfect. And noticing here as we hold how the body begins to release. Noticing if this is coming with any amount of effort. And if so, trying to readjust your body to find a point where you can really surrender. The least amount of effort here possible. Whenever you're ready to inhale next, you can float your knees, your gaze can come back through midline. And then exhaling them right over to the opposite side. Allowing them to rest. Allowing it to come gently. Noticing where you're holding on. And using your breath to release. Every exhale, finding further and further softness. When you're ready to inhale next, slowly begin to guide your knees back up through center. And then invite your body to come into whatever stretch it needs in this moment. When it suits you, you can lengthen your legs, moving your body into Shavasana. Taking whatever it is that you need to be comfortable for your final pose of your practice. If you haven't done so already, releasing control of your breath, control of your mind, control of your body. Just allow yourself to be. And just for a moment, take note of the hip space, the glutes, the low back, the low belly. Just noticing sensation, noticing feeling. And then as you exhale, releasing any expectation of thought, any expectation of control. Allow yourself the time that you have here in Shavasana to simply breathe. So I will leave you all here in Shavasana. Take the time that you have, please. I wish you all a great week, and we'll see you next time. Namaste.